you're looking at 3s and 4s and stuff like that. Where are the interest rates right now? Interest rates right now, if you were to go get a 30-year mortgage, it's going to be between around 7.5%. Let's just call it that. So with that being said, we have all of these homeowners out there where they got these 3 and 4% mortgages, but you've been following us for any amount of time. You already know that we work with motivated sellers, and you could go back, and within the Cream Resources group, by the way, we're getting ready to organize all of our live streams. So it's going to be nice and organized there for you. We did one just on lead generation. And if you go back and watch that live stream, you will know that we target motivated sellers, or people who have some type of need where they want to sell quickly, and we're able to fulfill that. So there's 2 ways that we make offers, actually multiple ways, 3 ways. One of the ways is just an all cash. That's where we need the lowest price possible. We also do novations and whatnot. But another way that we buy houses is exactly what we're teaching you here today. This is buying houses subject to the existing financing. And I'm going to get my slides here teed up. RJ, how you feeling, my friend?
Well, I'm fully caffeinated. Not a lot of sleep last night. Thankful and grateful that I'm able to be here, able to figure out our technical difficulties.
Amazing.
And I'm ready to get into this because this is an important tool to have in your tool belt, in your toolkit. Sometimes we've been saying no to motivated sellers because they either have a little bit too much equity in their house. They don't want the house anymore. And, sometimes you throw away those leads or put them in this follow-up folder where you can literally do this strategy and take over a really pretty nice house with some equity into it and take it over somebody's payments subject to the existing loan, which we're going to explain. Create some cash flow for you, and then you also have the flexibility if you wanted to sell it later, you can. So yeah, man, this is a good strategy, especially right now, with interest rates where they're at and where they were. Like, we're literally in the last year, we went from 3 to 4 upwards to what now, 7.5. It's crazy. Can you still make money in this high interest rate environment? Yeah, you can.
Sure.
We're still buying. There's a lot of people that are not, and that's okay. More deals for you and I and everybody else on this live. So I think this is an important strategy to master because you're going to be able to help more people. And we have done this strategy for many, many years and helped a lot of people. So we're excited to share this today. Love this picture of us.
Look at us. 2 young bucks out there making it happen, and we're going to help other people make it happen as well. So let's get right into it. We have a ton to cover. I'm going to be blowing through slides. Okay. So if you are in a place where you can take notes, definitely take notes. Save your questions till the end. In fact, let us know in the comments that you can hear us loud and clear. I see Corey is on here. I see there's about 12 people at the moment. Let us know who is on here in the comments. I'm going to get this thing rocking and rolling. And of course, like any good presentation, it's going to be good. It's going to be the meat and potatoes when you start with a disclaimer, because we ran this presentation by our attorneys, and our attorneys who are helping us with our coaching business and everything we're doing. And they're like, you guys need to disclaim a lot, right? Because we're basically telling you everything that we do. We don't hold back. And we are successfully coaching other people on how to do exactly what we do. But just so everybody knows, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Any losses suffered through the techniques and strategies presented in this material are yours and yours alone. Seek out your own legal counsel for all of your business and real estate dealings. Practice business and real estate at your own risk. Be honest. Do the right thing. Take care of people. None of this information should be taken as financial advice. Okay. So about us, we've been buying and selling for a long time. I think a lot of you know us. We're still doing about 5 to 10 deals a month. A lot of what we do is novations, but every single year we're adding a couple of these subject to deals to our portfolio, and we are getting ready to actively start buying and holding for our own portfolio as well. If you've been watching us for any amount of time, you already understand this business is like a pendulum. Sometimes you're flipping, sometimes you're buying and holding, but ultimately you got to do both. And this is a technique that we use to buy and hold. This is a buy and hold technique. So we are going to learn exactly what this stuff is. We're going to be getting into how to talk to sellers, going on appointments, different types of loans. We are going to be talking about negotiating these deals, how to make multiple offers, all the paperwork. There's a lot to this. Okay. So when you're buying a property and leaving the loan in the name of the seller, you're agreeing to begin making the payments on the loan, which is still in the seller's name. You're not guaranteeing the loan. So this is not your credit. You're not assuming the loan. There are no such thing as assumable loans anymore, right? If you were to go to a bank and say, hey, I'm going to assume this loan from this motivated seller, they're going to underwrite you. What does that mean? They're going to use your credit now, of course, right? So this is not a loan assumption. You will receive all of the ownership rights of the property. So all the tax benefits to the property. You could do anything you want with the property. You own the property. And buying subject to is definitely our favorite acquisition technique for buy and hold. It's the best risk and reward. This is a tool that's going to go in your real estate investing toolbox, because here's the thing. When you turn on your lead generation fire hose, which we coach you to do, right? You're going to be getting all sorts of, every lead is a little different. Every, deal is a little bit different. You want to cherry pick the best ones and have as many strategies as possible in your toolbox so you can monetize as many deals as you possibly can. This is just another tool for your tool belt to add to your buy and hold portfolio. It's better than wholesale because you actually keep the asset. One thing RJ and I are firm proponents of is buying and holding. Our wealth has been built through buying and holding. Wouldn't you agree, RJ?
That's how you own. That's how you build wealth. You got to own assets or control them, and this is one way to do it. Nobody that's ever had enough, net worth came from just selling everything. You
Quick
gotta
background. Yep. I mean, you got the wealth is in the owning. In fact, and we should make a comment here. Rest in peace, Mr. Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger passed away, everybody, yesterday. He is, if you don't know who that is, he is the famed and acclaimed business partner of Mr. Warren Buffett. And I do have a Charlie Munger quote here, everybody, that applies to real estate. Give me one moment. I can't believe I forgot. But this is what I wanted to start with today. Did you know that, RJ? Charlie Munger passed away.
Not. No.
He passed away. All right. So here is a quote from Mr. Charlie Munger, and we can apply it to our real estate businesses. The big money is not in the buying and selling, but the waiting. There you go, everybody. Charlie Munger, rest in peace, 99 years old.
Wow.
There are 3 types of loans, conventional FHA and VA loans. All can be taken subject to, so I don't want you to think you're limited by any means. Here's a breakdown of what these loans are. Conventional loans, a person puts 20% down. FHAs, less than ideal credit borrower, 3.5 to 5% down. VAs given to veterans. Pre-screening, who's actually going to do this? Motivated sellers who are in danger of losing their house. So if they're in danger, if the homeowner is in danger of losing the property and getting nothing, they would be inclined to listen to your offer where they could get something, right? Even if it means leaving that loan in their name. You have the ability to improve the seller's situation so they at least get something and save their credit. So RJ, when you hear about a seller who's in danger of losing their property, where does your mind go as far as lead generation?
Well, the motivation, right? It goes to motivation. Where are motivated sellers? Who are you gonna market to? So the motivated sellers that are behind on payments, that are in pre-foreclosure, and also properties that are behind on payments. So pre-foreclosure is a good strategy to use. And
Yep.
sometimes you can download these lists, and we show you how to do this in our program,
Yep.
in our mentorship program. The lists that are highly motivated, that have properties, you can even set your search to properties that are a little bit newer and not older. But this strategy works with newer and older properties. With newer properties, a lot of times good things happen to bad people. They take care of their houses, and you're getting a really nice house in a really good neighborhood, you know, and that you don't have to do a lot of renovations to. And sometimes you can work something out with the owner where you take over their payments, but then you lease it back to them. Now we're going to go over that type of scenario here, but where I would go if I'm looking for more of these type of leads, I'm going right into pre-foreclosure, nice houses, newer built. And so
Yep.
with these loans that were generated in the last 2 to 5 years that are in the twos and threes.
Well, threes and fours. I don't think
Threes
there's,
and
well,
fours.
VA loans are in the twos, but RJ is exactly right. And RJ had mentioned in our coaching, everybody, just so everybody knows, you're always going to hear us pumping our coaching because it's legit. And I have many calls today with students, and this is basically it in a nutshell. It is the last and only real estate coaching program you will ever need to invest in because it literally is everything that you need, including data. Meaning the quality of your lead generation is only as good as the quality of your data. We have an in-house white labeled business for producing and providing data. This is not, we're not coaching people how to go online and find some garbage list to waste your time and picking up the phone and trying to get these people to sell their house. That is not how this works. We've got it dialed in. And just like RJ said, we can target specifically what areas we want to be in, specifically the situation going on with the seller, i.e. pre-foreclosure, and then even specifically the terms on their loan. You can look when the seller originated their mortgage. You know what the interest rates were at that time. Bam, there you go. It fits your geography. It's a newer build. You can adjust the year built of the properties, and you know when they bought and when their mortgage was originated. This is not rocket science, everybody. That's why a coach serves you well. It's not like figuring it out on your own. It's exactly how to do this. Let's go. So it's a great time to buy properties subject to, because the rates that we are going to be essentially, these loans essentially that we are going to be, taking over. I don't like to say taking over because it sounds like our credit's on the line, but the houses that we're buying and the loans that are being left in place are all very favorable terms. A motivated seller is somebody who needs to sell, not just wants to sell, somebody who has a problem that you're going to be able to help them with in exchange for getting a great deal on the house. It's got to work for the seller too. You're going to know how to make these offers. And if somebody's looking for full retail and has no urgency to sell, then they're not going to be a good candidate for your creative offer. They're never going to say yes unless they're motivated here, everybody. This is why we need to go through a lot of leads to get a yes. Got to go through a lot of no's to say yes, or to get a yes. But with our business, we actually go to monetize every lead. So even if somebody wants full retail, not full retail, we can't really work with somebody. Maybe we can, if you're a realtor, you can list it for them. But we monetize pretty much as many leads as we possibly can with different techniques and strategies. With this particular strategy, there is no way a seller is going to deed you their property and leave the loan in their name unless they're pretty motivated. I just want to be upfront about that. So examples, as RJ just mentioned, behind on payments, behind on taxes, moving out of state, divorce, and then the house is needing work.
Divorce is a big one. Divorce is a big one. I mean, like we've talked to motivated sellers that are just like they got the house, they don't want it. The house has way too many memories of just bad energy, and they're willing to just walk away and just be done with it. They don't want to make the payment anymore. They got that house. They want to, just be done with it, right? And you can get a lot of the, pre-foreclosure, divorce. They call that county data, courthouse data. You can get that down at your county.
Yeah,
So
it's not hard at all. Just people don't do it. And that's why people need direction and need a coach. Everybody, all of this stuff with the internet and everything else, it's all right under our noses. We just need to take action and do it and not be afraid to fail. So when we are pre-screening sellers, we are interested in wow, what's the property worth? What is owed on the property? That's very important. What is their current mortgage? What is owed? And then what do they want? What do they want for the property? So what it's worth, when we're running comps, everybody, there's three main ones, but MLS is the best. PropStream is decent. We have an affiliate link if you really want that. If you don't have access to the MLS, PropStream is second best. Third best is Zillow, but it's you really want to look at real market data and knowledge. The best is going to come from the MLS. And you always want to run two sets of comps. So you want to see the ARV, which is the after repair value. These are homes that are all fixed up and what they're selling for retail. And then you also want to see cash sales in the area. Both are going to be used on your appointment. Okay. And a seller is will typically think that their house is worth more than it actually is. Is that pretty common, RJ?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes their friend is a real estate agent. They're getting, they're just getting data from sources that aren't as credible, and so a lot of times when in our sales process, we're setting the stage and getting them actual real comparables in the area with examples. And that's
what they all say.
Important to have that. Well,
not to cut you off, but you know what they all say is they say, oh, well, so-and-so sold their house for $250. Okay. And then, we don't want to be defensive, but we also need to bring them back to reality. Yeah. So-and-so sold for $250. They have an extra bedroom and granite countertops. You're a smaller house and you haven't updated your house in 20 years, right? So a lot of what we do when we are pre-screening and doing any real estate deal is bringing the seller back to reality in a logical, factual way that is non-intrusive and non-offensive. Don't get defensive, because no one ever made a sale. No one ever succeeded in any type of sale or appointment environment if you're the one who's getting defensive and stuff like that. You need to very logically bring them back to reality, and that's what we do. So the O of our WOW equation is, what does the seller owe against the property? What is their mortgage balance? What is their monthly payment? We're talking about PITI. And what are the terms of the underlying mortgage? Most of these, because we're targeting 30-year fixed rate mortgages. Do they have back payments? You're going to need to know what the back payments are, because that is the cash you're going to need to bring to the table. So there is three things you're going to need to potentially bring money for when you're doing these deals. Number one is to bring the loan current. Number two is any money that the seller is going to walk away with, and that's negotiable. And then number three is any repairs that you're going to do to the property. You got to come up with that cash, right? And we're going to show you here in this presentation on how you can raise that cash from a private lender and not have to use any of your own money. But I just want to be upfront. When you hear these,
I want to make a point real quick. So this is really important information you got to gather. And somebody that's really motivated and that you've already started talking to and you're building rapport, this is critical information that you need to grab from them. If they're not motivated, right? Typically you're not going to be able to get all this mortgage information. There's an actual document that you need them to sign that allows you to grab this information. So in your sales process, which we, coach you on, that huge rapport building piece, right? When they're telling you about what's happening in their life, the divorce, the house that they can't make payments anymore, it's super important to be empathetic, right? And really have solid listening skills, because this is an important piece to get. Mortgage information it's kind of like asking for somebody's financials. It is. And it's important information to gather, because now this is how you are going to be solving their problem and creating, when you're solving that problem, you're creating a spread for you as well. Because that's how you create this win-win thing. So I just want to add that.
So It is critical, and that's why if you don't have rapport, but you just start talking about the money, what we teach is you got to talk about motivation before the money. No one's going to want to give you their information unless you have a relationship already. And we're going to get into rapport on the very next slide. The final W of our WOW equation is, what is the seller asking? How do they come up with that amount? Most sellers won't want to give you a number. Don't worry. I'm going to show you exactly in our negotiation section how to get the number from the seller. Real quick, RJ just talked about, you got to have rapport. We practice and we teach form, friends and family, occupation, and recreation. Talk about those things before the money. And we must have rapport if we're going to get the seller's motivation. Be upfront that you're an investor. Sellers do like you being upfront and transparent. If the seller isn't motivated today, make sure that you follow up, because as time goes on, sometimes the seller's situation gets worse and they may need you in the future. Never try to, this is very important, never try to explain subject to or creative real estate over the phone, you know. And if you confuse the seller, what is the answer always going to be, RJ, if the seller's confused?
No, or maybe I got to talk it over.
Yeah.
I need to talk, like they're just politely saying no, That's
Keep our
how that's
conversation,
what
yeah,
I found out.
lighthearted and loose, right? That's something that RJ's always said I do good at, just keep a serious situation loosey-goosey, because it just kind of keeps everybody more comfortable.
Mhm.
So there are 3 sections in every conversation. So you're talking about the house, you're talking about non-sensitive conversation, that's the rapport stuff and the form, friends and family, occupation, recreation, and then the sensitive stuff, which you must know, which is the motivation stuff and the money stuff, but make sure that you are talking about the house and the non-sensitive stuff to get to the sensitive stuff. You're going to want to bounce back and forth from non-sensitive stuff to more sensitive information. I'm not going to get into this. We have an entire module in our coaching all about our sales process. It's hours long, dissecting exactly how to get the seller over the phone or in person to sign deals with you. Sensitive topics often involve their financial situation, and you need the rapport before getting into that. The seller, can you tell me about the house and the situation? Get into bedrooms, bathrooms. Here's the most important question in any negotiation. Why are you selling? If the seller replies, I just don't want to, I just want to see what you'll give me for it. Don't give up here. You just need more rapport. Okay. And what you're going to do is go back to form, go back to friends and family, occupation, recreation. Be authentic in your rapport building. Because if you're like trying to build rapport with a lie, the subconscious mind of your prospect is going to fire off that you're a liar, and you will end up losing the deal, and you're not going to know why. You could be a silver-tongued, smooth salesperson, but if you are not honest, people will know something is not right about you. If the seller isn't comfortable giving a set price, just try to get a ballpark figure or a range, but remember to keep it playful. And if a seller is extremely difficult, they won't give you any information, consider doing a little takeaway. We love doing the takeaway. And here's just a quick example, Mr. Seller. I can feel that you're not really wanting to answer my questions. Is it me? Is it simply, or, I'm simply trying to find out how I could best serve you. Would you prefer to speak with somebody else in my company? Like, maybe, is it me? Or do you not like me? That's just some easy stuff. Quick summary here before we move on. Remember, wow. What's it worth? What do they owe? What do they want? Build rapport early and often. Keep your combos light. Don't try to buy the house over the phone, especially with complex kind of things that we're doing here. And use the yo-yo technique or the pendulum technique. Just go back and forth from sensitive info to non-sensitive info. When we're evaluating deals, we want to look at what is the equity in the house. What's the difference between what they owe and what it's actually worth? Okay. So what does the seller want to walk away with? This is very important, everybody. What is the seller's equity? This is what you're going to negotiate. So it's impossible to know what condition the property is in if you've never seen the house. You can't make informed decisions until you've walked the property and got it inspected. I suggest going on every single appointment if the seller has motivation. Pull your 2 sets of comps, which is the ARV and the cash comps. Also pull rent comps. you're going to want to know what kind of cash flow potential this property has. And you as an investor, here's the big three things that you're evaluating. What is their equity, which is value minus the loan balance, and what cash you're going to need to put into the deal. Where are you putting cash into the deal? That's the money that the seller would need, any repair money and any back payment money that you need to bring to the table. So if it's worth 200, the loan balance is 100, and you got to come up with 20K for repairs and back payments, the equity in this equation is 80,000. It's worth 200, loan balance is 100, you need 20 cash to make this deal work. That's how we're determining equity. What is the cash flow, the rent amount minus the PITI? And our goal is to come up with as little money out of pocket as possible to get this deal, i.e. we want low repairs, right? We want low back payments or money to bring to the table to bring the loan current, and we want as little cash to the seller as possible. Ideally, you want 2 out of the 3, right? So we want little repairs and maybe, very little back payments, or we want little back payments and little cash to the seller, but if it needs some work, we're willing to do that. So we want 2 out of the 3. If we can do that, typically we're going to be in decent shape. And the money we've already touched on for coming out of pocket is repairs, catching up back payments, and the seller's equity. For every deal, you're going to want to determine the potential equity in the deal, what it's owed versus what it's worth, the potential cash flow, and your cash out of pocket. When you're going on live appointments, and I know I'm going through this quick, but hey, we got 45 minutes and we gotta get back to doing deals here. We're making great time so far though. But make sure you call every seller and confirm your appointments. There is no bigger time waster in our business than no call, no show. Make sure all decision makers are there. Make sure that you're telling them that you're going to be bringing a contract. We want to be upfront with these sellers, upfront on the phone, to say, my goal is to come take a look at the property. I think I have a good understanding of your situation. And if we could come up with something that's a good fit for you and a good fit for us, is there any reason we wouldn't want to move forward?
Guys, this is our script right here. It's super valuable. Hope you're taking notes.
Let them know that we're coming with a contract to do business, and also let them know over the phone, hey, let's just determine if this might be a fit for you and a fit for us. If it's not, are you okay just telling me a firm no today? I can handle it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. In fact, if it's not a good deal for me, I'm okay just telling you no up front. Are you okay doing the same? Yes. Let them know it's okay to say no. But if it's not going to be a fit, you need to determine that on your pre-call, not going on the appointment, going on every single appointment and wasting your time. And this is a little common tip here, but I know from experience, make sure your smartphone is charged so you can actually take pictures, right?
Yeah. Make sure. Yeah. That's
go
good.
ahead, RJ.
No, this is what you just heard, the whole flow right there. It comes naturally to Dave. He's done this thousands and thousands of times, right? So it's gonna be a little bumpy your first time around, but as you get used to it and you get more reps in, it'll just flow like that. But this is the our script. You'll get this for this particular process for the subject to is in our mentorship program, and you'll get that. You'll practice it.
You're getting all, yes, sir. You're getting all the paperwork, and you're getting on the phone with us once a week to literally make sure you have this down cold. And that's what it comes. And if you think this is valuable in a 45-minute live stream, you could only imagine, what it's like to actually have us hold your hand and get you paid in your first 90 days. So you could be a testimonial. And by the way, here's a sneak peek, 10,000 foot overview. We are launching a podcast. And guess what the podcast is for? It is only for our successful students. We're helping people get your first deal or your next deal closed, completed. You got money in the bank. Then you are going to be a guest on our podcast. We're not interested in just having these random guests and people trying to look cool and stuff like that. We want only our successful students. So we're very excited about that. Now, when you are going on these appointments and prepping for the appointments, here's just a quick role play. Mrs. Seller, I know that you own the house with your husband, so I wanted to make sure that he's going to be there as well, because if we're able to come up with something that works for you and works for me at the same time, I want to make sure that he'll be there to sign the agreement so we can get this started right away. Is your husband going to be there? See what you just did? You, number one, made sure all decision makers are there. Number two, you let them know you're bringing a contract and you're ready to get this thing signed, so you're not going on the appointment and then they want to think about it. And number three, you basically got them to agree. You said, yes, they're going to be there. Perfect. Attire, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but dress professional, everybody. You don't want to show up looking like, overly dressed. It's going to make the seller intimidated. I wear boots every day. RJ wears boots. We wear jeans, but a nice polo or a nice button down with a pair of jeans and boots. That's the attire of a real estate investor. Underdressing, you don't want to show up in a smoking truck. They're going to lose confidence in you. You make sure your car is
or like a suit and tie, and you're just way too professional. You know what I mean? It's like
too much.
You got your bling on,
they're gonna think you're a Jehovah's Witness.
No, it's gonna think like, man, this guy's a shark, right? So you just want to dress casually. Business casual has always been the best for us, and so anyways,
be on time. When you first get on the appointment, slow the appointment down. Don't just show up and start talking about business. Slow the thing down. Talk about the rapport stuff that you already built over the phone. Some sellers might be a little bit embarrassed on the messiness. Make sure you reassure them you look at houses all day, every day. It's no big deal for you, and have them give you a tour of the house. While they're giving you the tour, make sure you're going back to more form. You see a set of golf clubs in their house, well, talk about golf, right? And talk about, you see a Ohio State or a whatever college of flag hanging, talk about that, right? Subtly point out flaws in the house without being offensive. This is what you're going to use to get a better deal. We like to use a technique called the extended stare. When there's something wrong with the house, like a huge water spot on the ceiling or, a leak in the basement or something like that, just stand there and stare at it and then let them do all the talking, because they're going to know that you see it, and they will then try. Now what that's doing is basically flipping the script and getting them selling you. And so you're not like having to point out flaws in their house. It's basically telling them that you know it and you see it without telling them. So after your inspection, you're going to want to have the seller direct you, go somewhere where you guys can sit down and talk. We like the kitchen table or something like that. Or even, we sit right on their couch and, wherever it's going to be a quiet, comfortable place. And you're essentially going to want to get right into the motivation and beginning eliminating other options. So the way you're going to do that is, hey, is there anyone else you can borrow the money from to catch up the back payments? Have you thought about maybe renting the property yourself? Have you thought about maybe, doing the work for yourself to get this thing in tip-top shape? And they're going to reiterate, and they're going to tell you, I don't have money to fix it up. I don't have money for back payments. I can't be a landlord. I'm not in the landlording business. Let them tell you all the reasons why you are their only option. This is pure gold, everybody.
Yeah, I remember in like early sales jobs, you didn't want to ask these like uncomfortable situations. It's completely opposite here. It's like you really want to get that out of them because they're expressing to you and giving you clues, expressing to you pain, giving you clues of who else is going to be involved in negotiations. You're not wasting time.
So when you finally have your rapport, you eliminated the other competition, if you will. There is no competition because you're a specialist. But here's a moneymaker line for you, everybody. Oh, this is it. This is how you negotiate a sub-2 deal. This is pure Dave P right here, everybody. Not from an ego standpoint. I sound like I have an ego today, RJ. But it's pure gold. This has come from trial and error.
This is something that actually works. So that's what
it really works. So what if I could make it so you net the same amount of money you would get if you marketed, listed, and sold with a realtor? You think that'll work for you? This is what we're setting up here, everybody. This is the setup. So what we're going to do we're saying, what if I could get you the same amount you would net if you sold with a realtor, but didn't have to do any of the work and didn't have to, and you could close quickly and this and that? Would that work for you? They're going to say yes. So now what we're going to do is look at their equity and say, well, you said you would take the same amount if you sold with a realtor. So you're going to back out the commissions, you're going to back out the holding costs, you're going to back out the title fees, you're going to back out any seller concessions that they would need to come if they sold with a realtor. And that is how you're creating your spread. Okay. So essentially, let's pretend the ARV is 150, seller wants 140, seller owes 100. This means the seller's expecting about 40K in their equity, right? Mortgage balance value, what they're wanting minus their mortgage balance is $40,000 in equity. From this point, this is so important. You're not going to talk about the sales price of 140 anymore. You're only going to talk about their equity. You're going to talk about what they're going to net at the closing table. This does numerous things. It gets them in a state of mind where they are essentially like thinking about what they're going to walk away with. And it's when you're beating them up essentially on the price, when they wanted 140 and you end up getting this thing for 115 or 110, 110 sounds a huge drastic price cut from the 140 they originally wanted, but $10,000 net in your pocket at the end of the day sounds a lot better than the $30,000 price cut that you just did and accomplished. So essentially start with the ARV, example 150, show the sellers what other houses are selling for when it's in, that's your ARV comps, show them what other houses are selling for if they're 100% fixed up, and then show the seller how much it would take to fix up the house with your inspection sheet. So example, $10,000, let the seller know the closing costs with a realtor are typically 1%. If they had to wait for the house to get fixed and sold, you know, they're going to have holding costs, at least 2 to 3 more monthly payments. Add all of this up. Add up their repair cost of what it would take to repair. Add up all their holding costs and realtor commissions. 6% commission on $150,000 sales, $9K. Repairs are $10K. Holding costs would be $2K in this example. Closing cost, $1,500. Total costs here to market, list, and sell with a realtor is $22,500. Now we're back to the seller's equity. Remember, 150 minus 100 minus their selling costs is $27,500. So you just built in a huge discount for yourself, but we're not done, okay? Now it's time to remind the seller that you are an investor and you're a for-profit business. Remember when you were upfront with the seller in the very beginning and the fact that you're an investor in the pre-screening phase? This is where it comes into play. This is not a nonprofit organization. You have a staff, you have a team. In fact, the way that you were able to get in touch with the seller is from your lead generation marketing and techniques. So Mrs. Seller, I've been very upfront the whole time about the fact that I'm an investor who needs to make a profit. In fact, you even built in a small profit for me when you said you wanted 140 for a house valued at 150, all fixed up. If I could get this done for you quickly and painlessly, do you still feel it's okay if my company makes a small profit? And I would even throw in there, not at your expense. It's not at your expense, right? So if you've done your job to this point, they will say, yes, it's totally fine. I trust you. I like you. This is, what do you got for me? How do we make a deal? So we're going to build in a 10K profit for ourselves into the seller's equity. So the 27.5 in their costs minus our 10K, now we're down to 17.5. And now that you've settled with the seller on the 17.5, that's what they're essentially expecting here. Now it's time to explain subject to without confusing them. So tell the seller if you were to pay all cash for the property, you would have to use a private lender and that would be very expensive. Explain that an all cash offer is only going to net them maybe 1,000 or 2,000 because your cash offer needs to be lower because you're going to have a higher cost of money. If they like this, great. Let them know, hey, it's not going to be a subject to deal, but you'll be getting a great deal. So if they like your cash offer, for instance, in our example, they owe 100. If you just say, I'll pay you all cash, pay off your loan, and give you $1,000 cash, if they like that deal, do it. Now you got a $150,000 house for 100 all cash deal. But if they want more, remember you negotiated 17.5 in their equity here. Well, you're going to need to kind of pitch that a different way. So the second offer is going to be your subject to offer. and it's going to sound a lot more appealing. So you're going to say, hey, basically, I'm going to get you some cash today, and I'll get you more in the rest of it when the house sells at some point down the road. So you're giving them two options. One is the all cash, and that's the low number, right? 101 essentially for a house they owe 100 on. The second offer is the creative offer, and the cash is the lowest option because you're going to have, you know, a cost of money. The creative offer is where you're negotiating the 17.5 that you created, and you want to offer some cash now and some cash later. The more you have to give the seller now, the less that you can actually give them total. So it's like anything else, you know, if you want, it's like the lottery. You want all your cash now, we're going to pay you less. You want it over payments, we'll pay you more in the long run. So any money that you postpone to the seller, right, if you give them some cash now and some cash later, any money that you owe them for the future is good because it's essentially a 0% note with the seller, and that's good. So offer number one, really quickly, we'll give you $2,000 today, $15,500 when the house sells. That's your total, $17,500. Offer two, we'll give you $5,000 cash today, and then $7,500 when the house sells for a total of $12,500. Or we'll give you $75K cash today and you're paid in full. Which one do you want? Which one do you care that they take? Doesn't matter. You're getting a good deal regardless, right? In our experience, most sellers want as much money today as possible. Some will carry a note. This will be like an IOU. It's not actually a mortgage. And essentially, when offering the seller to wait for their money until the house sells, it's very common for the seller to ask, well, when is the house going to sell? And you're just going to say, be upfront and say, you know, don't put yourself on a time frame. Don't say I'm going to have you paid off in X amount of time. Just say you will be paid when the house sells. And that's it. I mean, I don't know exactly when it's going to sell. So I'm going to buzz through our Q&A here real quick, our objections real quick. Yeah. And this will be recorded on our page, and then we are making great time. We may have a few minutes here for questions and answers. Let us know in the comments. If you've already got questions brewing, or if you heard something you like, let us know in the comments right now. I'm going to get through this part. And who's responsible for the mortgage? They are. You're responsible to pay it because that's the agreement you're making with the seller, but it is still in their name. Who claims the mortgage for their taxes? You do, because you're the owner of the house. Can the payments get behind? If so, what happens? Yes, they can, and that would affect the seller's credit, but ultimately they're going to be back in the same situation they're in right now. And if you put your own money into their pocket, you gave them $7,500 or whatever to walk away, you're actually worse off than them. Damages and repairs, you are responsible as the real estate investor. You own the house. Do you do extensive checks on your renters? Yeah, we do. Right? They might want to know who's going to be living in the property, right? Yes, we do. We're running like a professional management company. How did another company offer to rent my house and not you? Yeah, they're offering to rent your house and do like a sandwich lease. This is buying your house, and they're not going to give you $7,500 or $10,000 down, right, to rent your house. This is a better deal for you. If the tenant doesn't pay, then what? That's on us. We got to evict them. Who pays for the insurance? We do. Do I claim it as a rental property for taxes? And if so, doesn't that put me in another tax bracket? No, you're not renting the property. You're selling the property. Can you simply ditch out? Essentially, I can, but then I'd be losing all the money I gave you up front and the money that I'm putting into the property to put it in tip-top shape. And if I ditched out, you take the property back over and I lost all that money and you get a house in better condition than when you sold it to me. Is someone going to keep an eye on the house? That's our main business. That's all we do is look at our properties. Can I have an attorney go over the contract as well? Yes, you can, but the chances are they're not going to understand it. And just like, you know, a phone contract, you don't read all the fine print. You don't have your attorney read the phone contract when they're probably listening. You're probably agreeing when you sign up for a new cell phone that they can listen to your conversation and stuff like that. You can have an attorney do this, but I'm here to tell you there is no fine print. What you see is what you get. And they're most likely going to tell you not to do it because they don't understand it. I can tell you, and I can show you videos of numerous testimonials of people in your same exact situation this worked beautifully for, and it's going to work beautifully for you as well. So last thing the due on sale clause, and we can keep going, but we're short on time. Maybe let us know in the comments if you want more of this, because this is what we do here, everybody. But the due on sales clause, every loan has in it what is known as a due on sale clause. And this is the clause written into the note that says if the title transfers, the note is due in full at the time of the sale. But remember, since you're buying the property, the way we get around this, there is a little act, a constitutional act here, called the Garn St. Germain Depository Act, that makes it legal for homeowners to transfer their property into a trust without the due on sale clause being triggered. This is the secret sauce, everybody. We actually set it up in our coaching and everything else, where the seller is deeding their property into a land trust, and then we are taking over ownership of the land trust. That is really the nuts and bolts of this thing. We're short on time. It is already 2 minutes past, but let's open it up for some questions here. If you would like us to continue on this, we could even continue next week. If you are in the Columbus area, please come see us. We will be at Ohio Brewing tonight, 6 p.m. I won't be partaking in the brewing part of it. I will strictly be talking about real estate deals and how we are generating a lot of off-market. I think tonight we're going to be talking about lead generation. Come pick our brain. I would love to see you. Let us open up the comments here. RJ, do we got people? We got comments. All right, let's open it up. Let's see. Open up the comments. Nicole Glatz can hear us. Wonderful. Tuned in. Hello. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome. I went to high school with Nicole. As a matter of fact.
What's up, Nicole? Was Dave a funny guy in high school?
Class clown, baby. Voted class clown, class of 2000. Euclid High School. So any questions, let us know in the comments. I am not able to really see comments here.
I don't see any questions in the comments right now, but she said always. But I do have one, that probably a lot of people are thinking about, and they're not, so it's like, well, what would be the worst case scenario that would happen here? You take something over, and something happens to you. Like, what happens then? And it's a common question. Like, what are the pitfalls of this? Why wouldn't somebody do this?
There's only two ways. There's only two main pitfalls in any type of real estate transaction. Number one is when you're stroking a check. Number two is when you're taking on debt. Well, in this type of scenario, you likely are stroking a check to either A, give to the seller. And I'm sorry, I keep burping. I don't know if anyone's ever had Topo Chico. Topo Chico.
I love Topo Chicos.
Very carbonated drink here today. But there are three things that you potentially are coming out of pocket for. Number one is to give to the seller to walk away. Number two is any repairs. And number three is for those back payments. If you are coming out of pocket and stroking that check or getting that money from a private lender, you potentially can lose that money, right?
Yeah.
In this case, you're not taking on debt because the debt is staying in the seller's name. So in any real estate deal, any real estate deal, those are the only two risks.
Question from Bob. He's saying specifically, who makes the mortgage payments, the seller or us?
You do. You're paying the mortgage company direct.
Yep. You set that on auto pay, correct?
Your house. It's your house. But what we do with our seller is we get their online banking info, and they could log in online, and they could just verify and make sure that the payments are being made. And what you'll find is they'll inspect the first two, and then you'll never hear from them again. They're going to stop looking. They're going to stop texting. They're gone. They got your money. It's all good.
But you certainly want to make those payments on auto pay. The other one is another question from Giovanna. Do you use an attorney to do the subject to paperwork?
Nope. We got all our paperwork. It's been verified by our attorneys. You get it with our coaching program, and it's all handled right at the title company. So attorneys did prep this, trust documents, and how to do this.
Last question. Are you able to do VA loans on a land trust?
Yes. Well, you're not doing it on a land trust. You're buying the property. They are deeding the property into a land trust. The loan is staying in place. You own the trust which owns the home.
That is it.
Hey,
Thanks
let us
for
know the
hanging
recording.
in there with us, because we are finally, I think we got the whole Facebook, Zoom, live stream down. So thank you for bearing with us today and being patient with us.
Stay tuned, everybody. Come see us tonight at Ohio Brewing if you're around. If not, we're bringing fire. You know, these Wednesday sessions are not, we're not sitting around talking about the news and the weather. We are talking about the real deal. And that is our goal. We put our heart and soul into this thing. We went through a lot of slides, didn't even get through them all, right?
Yep.
We're going to continue to bring fire as long as you keep showing up. It is an absolute privilege. This is what I love to do. It has reinvigorated me and RJ in what we're doing here. I mean, because I'm going to be upfront. We've been doing this for 10 years. It creates a little burnout. You just get complacent. Well, this is making me want to be better. This is making me want to refine our processes, our systems, be a better individual for all of you. We got a badass tribe right now. I love working with you guys, and we'll be here. So make sure you tune in, send us a message if you want to set up a call, learn more about our coaching program, and we would love that opportunity.
See you guys.